Today, I'm talking through finishing up the last few pages of this concertina sketchbook. I think I only had about 4 panels remaining, and as you can see here, I had already gathered up some yellow and neutral collage papers that I was thinking about working with. This one that I'm gluing now is from the blotter paper that I put down on my desk, and that's loads of extra yellow ink, probably from things that you've watched me paint on this channel. And this is a photocopy of a section of some tree branches from a photo that I took, I think, in either Spain or Portugal. You can see here I'm using my Sharpie brush marker to kind of blend it in with that previous page, to kind of incorporate it into the overall pattern of the book. And just going over a lot of this black so that it doesn't look too different from the areas that I painted on versus the areas that were just photocopy. A lot of this video is very sped up because watching me apply glue stick to the backs of pieces of paper is exceedingly yawn-inducing. So there's my tree branches coming out of the geometric shapes from the previous spread. I'm just moving things around. Ooh, more yellow paper. Thinking about what to do with this guy. I'm gonna cut it up. Carefully cutting along the edges of that numeral 8. And yep, I decided not to use the section with the 8, just to use the more abstract section. Seeing how it might play with this half of a yellow chair that I cut out of a magazine ad. I decided to put it in the gutter there where the paper folds, so to aid in that, I folded the yellow piece of paper before I glued it down. And now I'm committing the chair. As you can see, I'm using my plastic little squeegee that I have used in 1 or 2 other videos to smooth down the paper after I put the glue stick on. I cut a sort of sympathetic curve out of that little slice of I think it was a page out of a book that I used part of it for something else. So you can see the chair has that convex curve, and then where I cut out the numeral 8, we get some sympathetic concave curves, and then an additional concave curve, that's hard to say a lot, on the little piece of newsprint or newsprint book page. Here is a nice little slice of gold. I have a number of these gold squares, which I cut out of the center of Joss paper. Joss paper is a kind of pulpy, thin paper that has either gold or silver squares in it, and they are used in Chinese funerals, I believe. They are burned. But it's a pretty nice gold, and you can get a whole stack of those pages for like $3. So it's nice collage fodder. Here I'm adding my signature yellow ink to kind of unify all this stuff so they don't feel just like random bits on a page. And I put down our little birdie there. I was talking about Joss paper when that happened, but that was something I had already cut out. All right, moving on to the final pair of panels in this concertina book. I have more of my blotter paper. That was when I had been working on, actually I think that was when I was working on painting newsprint to use as collage paper. There's a great technique that Davies has a video about where you paint multiple layers of acrylic on top of newsprint, and then you spray it with isopropyl alcohol and use a scraper. And you can get really interesting, wonderful, like multi-layered looking collage paper that way. It ends up kind of looking like old, like Persian carpets or something that are really worn through. Time for bringing in some of those 3-punch hole reinforcements. My little eyeball circle dots. Those formed nice sympathetic shapes with my curves and the O's, well, the 8 and the O. So that's helping out to create some nice rhythms in this composition. And more circles. More. So this whole thing came together pretty quickly. I think that all told, the amount of time that I spent on everything that ends up in this video is about an hour, including all my cutting and moving about. And I cut out some of the things where I'm just kind of moving paper around for a long time. Not too much, but some of it got pretty boring. Or like when I walked away to go find some more paper to use. So this is looking pretty fun. I like how the yellow chair has become quite background. It's like a hint of a chair, a ghost of a chair. This is something that I really enjoy using in these books as well. It's called chart tape, and it has the consistency of masking tape, but it's very, very thin. This is 1/8 inch width. I also have some that is 1/4 inch width. That's pretty bold. I don't use it as much. This sort of angle of X's is helping the spread with all these curves kind of speak to the prior spread where there are those triangles and sharper angles and lots of black linear elements. Time for some dots. I do love making little firefly star sparkle dots with my white Posca pens. I do it on most of my ink paintings. And it looks like I'm making more circles. I started making these circles like it's the bird and he's singing, or she. And it kind of looks more like the bird swallowed some soap and tried to sing and is filling the sky, filling the air with bubbles. But I'm cool with that. Bubbles and birdsong are kind of both very joyful things. All right, there's one final page that I haven't touched yet. I kind of like the chaos of those blotter paper covered with paint and ink next to these more geometric typographic forms and perfect birdie. I didn't put a ton of thought into this final page because I was like, you know what? I've been working on this book since January. Let's finish this damn book. So I'm putting another square from the Joss paper. A nice gold square that'll rhyme with the other half of the counterpoint. Not counterpoint. The counter. The O. The 8. The space of the 8. Anyway, that gold is rhyming with the other gold in the half circle. So I'm putting that smack in the middle. I think I also have a black page earlier in the book that has one of these gold squares just smack in the middle. It's like a rest. And this there's some of the paper that I was talking about that looks like an old threadbare tapestry or Persian carpet. That is a piece of newsprint that I painted a pale blue and an orange and a red and some gold and then scraped a lot of it away. And it looks like fabric now. And it has a funny little shape, kind of like a bird beak. So that's kind of fun. And then this little piece of blotter paper that I added rhymes with the angles of the little bird beak character-ish. And I decided to put that dot there because now it's a bird. I got 2 birds now. And I colored one of those dots black and put it someplace, but I cut off the video. Here's from the beginning of the book. This is where I started back in January, doing lots of winter trees. I did these I worked on a few pages every couple weeks, perhaps. There's the page with the Joss square on black. Here are my sort of musical, jazzy patterns that I've been doing the past month or so. And here's what I did today. So actually, this was all side 2 of the book. This is a Seawhite Concertina that I took a page out of Karen Stamper's book and I cut it in half. These ship with, I think, 72 panels, and that's a lot to fill, and they end up being quite hefty. So she suggests cutting that box up. They come in sort of a case that you can slide the book into. She cuts them in half, uses that box to make covers for the ends that you chopped in half. These pages are actually the ones that I started back in January. This is the earliest segment of the book where I built a castle and then a little shack. There are parts from other drawings in here, like that. That telephone pole is from a pencil drawing that I did years ago in New Orleans. That building is from an old pencil drawing. They've just been kicking around for years, so I decided to cut them up and put them in something else, make something new out of them. Same with that fork handle. This just got crazy, angular, chaotic, because I just kind of hit a wall. I think I ended up going back through this, yes, so that you can see more than 2 pages at a time. You can see how each page connects to the next, even if the spreads don't look like they relate. Like the clouds up at the top there are connecting, and the ground line. I have some X's going through these spreads. There's the telephone pole again. There's lots of gesso on these pages. They're very messy. I have some red in this that I think relates back to the previous spread. Red and yellow. Yeah, it connects back to this page, which has part of an etching test print. That's what that arch shape with the trees is. And there's a little house. I think that was cut out of paper that I used somewhere else. The castle is once again made out of some of the paper where I scraped off layers of acrylic to get that gold. And that's the end. That's the end of this book. So at some point, I need to work on the other half of this one. Thanks for watching.